Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
How's everybody doing today? Come on and come in. We got about 2 people going and like, share. Got a lot to talk about today. We talk a little bit about the tutoring program from the district that they have gotten from philanthropy around the country. We'll talk about the relief funds and the board retreat that we had a chance to go to on this past Thursday. Talk a little bit about the Tennessee rated participation rate just in Nashville and just that article. And then most importantly, we'll talk about the ESSER engagement as there are some community meetings coming up, some feedback and different support. So just be on the lookout for that and we'll get it going. But Sonia, just wanted to kick it off. How has your week started off with today being hump day?
Man, is it? Man, like, whoa, the time is going by really fast.
Yeah.
My week it's busy. However, it's productive. We're just excited about the work that we're doing with the team, the development of our parents. So, hey, I can't complain, man.
Yeah, I'll say Wednesday, like you said, this week is going by real fast. We got the 12 days of back to school, not the 12 days of Christmas, but the 12 days of back to school. We'll be getting started. Most of us will be getting started on August the 10th. So I know there's some excitement. There's some reluctance and hesitancy and can't sleep at night for good and bad. So, yep, the 12 days of Christmas. I don't got a song for it, but I'm going to come up with one.
Man,
that's the 12th day in me.
But that's kind of dope, though. I like that. Like,
the
countdown. You know what? I just always like to keep it real. I got three principles. Being vulnerable, being coachable, and having integrity. I live by those principles, and I just want to be vulnerable right now as everybody come in. So like, share, comment, but I ain't ready.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find a school that's a good fit for my son that will cater to his interests and keep him motivated. When you've struggled in school, like, it's hard to be motivated. I've done that. I've lived it. I'm really empathetic to him about that when it just hasn't been a joy for you.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure that make sure he goes to a school that has the culture that, that's good for him, the supports, and, this is his high school years. Also, like, these are his informative years. These should be some of the most exciting years of school. I just want to make sure that those things are in place. And I don't have the options. I had chest pain last night. Literally laid on the sofa and had chest pain because of the stress of filling out applications at school. Like, when you are upset about something, you procrastinate. And so I just want to be vulnerable. Like, a year and a half, 2 years, this has been my biggest nightmare. It's trying to find my son a school. Then I begin, and because when you know the data, then you know stuff about the schools. It's like, it makes it harder.
Yeah, I'm with you. John is, and this is your last school age child, right?
Is it? Yeah, I'm thinking about adopting now. I am. Sarah Carpenter told me I needed to foster. I am actually thinking about, taking me a little break, but fostering, starting off, and maybe adopting. I'm not sure, because my kids ain't gonna have me no grandbabies. So I told you that. I already got badass bunny over here. So I just,
Yeah, pistachio. Yeah, but I feel you. I mean, John is going into his 7th grade school year, And that's something that we think about. We think about high school. Like high school is critical. It's important to get it right. If you don't get it right, there's not a lot of opportunity or room to fix it. And the number one thing people say, if they can go back to high school, what would they do differently? And it's really, investing more in the education. So as we think about, ninth grade, we got to make some decisions coming up pretty soon. And I'm already thinking about it. 2 years, it just hit me. I was like, man, 2 years he'll be in high school. So
yeah, and it's just like you always know that school is important, right? Like every bit of it is important. But when they get to high school, like that stuff get real to you.
Yeah.
Like, and I'll tell you, middle school is scary.
Yeah. Especially when you're coming in the fifth grade. I just remember working at a school. Fifth graders would come in trembling because they seeing the seventh and eighth graders with mustaches, muscles, and way taller than the women grew. The girls grew taller before the guys. So it was like I could just watch a fifth grader walk in the middle school and like, yep, he is definitely afraid.
Yeah, I'm excited about the middle school transition, like staying in elementary school. What I'm not excited about is the lack of choice that parents have, and it's deliberate. Like, it's deliberate trying to save public education instead of trying to save children. And it's a shame that children are getting caught up in the crossfire of the adults' inability to provide or to lead or to really look at the decision as a parent's decision. And I always say, when folk are trying to make decisions for parents, they are protecting the system and they're protecting their privilege and their power and their livelihoods. And we don't have time for that.
No time at all. And I see we got some people checking in early. We got Miss Fox, who's become a good friend of the show. We got Rhea, we got Danielle, we got Mr. Thomas Driver, we got Mr. Nino Black, who asked you to adopt him. We got Miss Compton and we got Miss Wilson. Shout out to Miss Compton. She invited me to a group and really, as we all think about working on our personal leadership and working on our personal self. So Miss Compton, hopefully I'll see you tonight. And so we can follow up on that because it really made me come up with a few questions. So thank you. And Ivory, hope to see you tonight too.
Yeah. Hey, Miss Compton. Hey, Ivory. Hey, Nino. Dude, I sent you a message. You know what message? I check your other Facebook. I said, who is that?
I can only imagine what you're talking about. I'm serious.
John, the one say John. I said, who? You already know what I really said. Who is?
Yep. So let's get right into it, Sonia. If we can just go back, we did the show last Wednesday. We had a lot of good topics. Thursday, we actually found ourselves in a board retreat talking about the ESSER funds. And at the end, we'll talk about it because we really want to highlight some of the engagement they have coming up. But just from your recollection, I'll go from mine, what were some of the things that were talked about in the board retreat that you found really important and the public needed to know?
So first of all, the discussion was around how the ESSER funds, like how the district is planning. I'm sorry for smacking y'all, but this right here at all these, I don't know what it look right here. Y'all gotta go get some of this chicken salad, honey. Baby, it's good. Anyway, it's around like how the district plans to use the ESSER funds, the ESSER 3.0 in particular, which is $276 million. And then the charter sector has a separate amount, which is significantly lower, around between 42 and $46 million. And I think it's important that we hold the district as a whole accountable. So we're talking to everybody. We're talking about the way that ways that they want to use this money, the programs that they were going to use. The federal government requires each district to use at least 20% of that ESSER funding to go towards learning loss. Now, I don't know why it's not bigger than that, but It's not. And so what it allows districts to do is to also use it for hiring, like general operating things, and personnel budget. So towards their general operating and personnel and programming budget. And, you know, I heard some good things, but I also heard some things that I just feel like it's not inclusive of real parent partnership. A huge disconnect with, you know, how does it translate at the school level? Does that make sense? We've got this huge district of 81 to 86
Right.
thousand children. Like I hear different numbers. I still don't know which one is which now. I don't know if the 86,000 was yesteryear and then during COVID 81. But when there's a vision for the school system, right? You know, the visionary is usually like the director of schools, just like the visionary for Nashville Propel. That's my responsibility. People understand the vision. And what I don't see is how it translates to the school level in a way that is eye level with the parent, to make sure that parents really understand. There was somebody that posted something this morning, and he posted it on Facebook. He's here in Nashville, and I'm just going to tell you, he posted, he was really mean, but it caught my eye because it's the normal air of people that have privilege, or people that don't have like any connection to what's really going on in our school system. And I'm trying to find it, but basically he was like, oh, I found it. Here you go. I don't know who needs to hear this, but it's not just up to the school for your children's education. And so I read it once and I read it twice. I took a deep breath and I responded. And I basically asked him, I said, quick question. What is the responsibility of the school? I just want to get some clarity because obviously there's some type of miscommunication here.
Right.
So he responds, to facilitate the majority of learning process and the parents to reinforce. Yep, that second part. So I said, are you an educator? And I asked too, because hell, I don't want him in front of kids. His smart self asked me, am I an educator? I'm keeping it cool.
Question with a question?
Yeah, I said, actually, I am not. Did I offend you by asking? His plump butt ain't said nothing because I'm gonna read it. Somebody probably done messaged him. I said, if parents don't understand the vision, how can they help their children? That's a question that everybody needs. Like he's saying that parents to reinforce. I have to know what I'm reinforcing. And even in reinforcing, I do need clarity around my role in that. Right? I am not an educator.
Right.
I do not know your policies and practices and procedures. I don't know what happens behind those closed doors. I don't even your plan. Even God, I have plans for you. To prosper you. He tells you to prosper you. Like he tells us what the plan is, right? And for the school district, the programming, the things, the ideas are not at parent eye level. And I hope that somebody, the people from the district, even people across this country are listening to this. You've got, we're not asking you to dummy down, but I don't know what I read is. I do now, but the average parent doesn't know what I read is. We don't know how to read map. We don't even understand the interventions that may be put in place for our children. We don't even know what to look for. How do we know the intervention is working? Because you can give me an exercise if I go to the gym, and the exercise is there for me to build muscle, right? But if I am not doing it correctly because I don't understand or understand, as my good friend Thomas says, then I could actually be impeding the progress. Not because I didn't want to exercise, as they say, parents don't want to do stuff and shame us, but it's because I lack the expertise. There was no partnership and there was no building of my skill set so that I could even build the muscle.
Yep. And I think that's as we think about our parents and what we don't know and what we should be knowing, I think you said it at the end, we're looking for that partnership. Like, I think I was talking to one person who used to be the superintendent of Cheatham the other day, Dr. Seifert, and she said, like, figuring out a way to show what grade level math and English should look like visually for each grade. Like, how should kids be writing? How should the math look? And that gives parents a guide to at least know, yep, like right on course, advanced, or my kid's work looks nothing like this. Like, let me reach out. But I think it's important if we never seen it. And I know our good friend Torvis, what he used to go into a lot, he talked about Common Core math, and people could relate because we grew up saying 1 + 1 was 2. And I think the difference are with the Common Core was trying to make the kids show their work and go through a whole process, which was confusing for parents all across the building. So those late night table, do your homework and do your work and get yelled at, like, came back. So I think it's that partnership and reimagining what partnership looks like between parents and schools.
Absolutely. So partnership reimagine is what I hear you say.
Mm-hmm.
We've got literacy reimagine. We've got schools reimagine, and we need partnership reimagine.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? Hell, I don't even know if it's reimagined. Hell, we need it started.
Yeah.
It's just, what show says, is it Star Trek? To go where you never gone before.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. 9 o'clock every weekday night. It was bedtime.
To go where we've never gone before. And I think it's an honor, like John and I had an honor to even speak to another school district here in Tennessee yesterday. That partnership. I want to shout out, the superintendents, the directors of schools that are reaching out. They're trying to figure out this partnership thing. And for me, it is to help them change their mindset. And to truly look at this thing different. I hate the word engagement. And I also don't like the word empower. Empower is oppressive to me because that means that you giving me power. You giving me something, and you giving me the power you think you should give me, right? Like, I'm gonna give this to you. But also in the mind, it makes me think you also think you can take it away from me. Don't empower me and don't engage me. Partner with me. Just changing the mindset.
Yeah. And I think one of the articles that I want to show and just start off with, it just shows how parents can show up to the table. Like, first, like understanding, the article will talk about the amount of money, like it's the last round of ESSER funds. And it talks about what can parents, like, what are some of the things that money is going to be used for? That's been a highly contested issue over the past 6 weeks, but it also talks about opportunities to engage where it's the real partnership. It's like, we have these millions of dollars that need to go into our schools to educate our kids. So as parents, what do you think that we can be doing? as teachers and admin, they'll figure out what they can do. And then we just start to realize, like, what's a common ground that we all care about, that we can have that true partnership. Especially after parents have just been around their kids as they have been learning over the past year.
Yeah. You know, I want to speak to that partnership a little bit different in a way, because I'd like to like put things in several different contexts to help people to relate to it. So John, like, have you ever like partnered with somebody like on a business, or, you know, maybe a school project or a work project?
Oh yeah, school projects. And some of them went well with good partnership, and some of them didn't go well. But yep, that's a good point.
Mhm. And so, you know, partnership, when you think about partnership, it's equal playing ground,
Mm-hmm.
right? And each partner brings something to the table, right? Um, and that's what we're saying, that these children belong to us, and we come with a certain expertise, whether it's respected or not, a certain expertise. And leave that to us, because we're going to develop parents into powerful parent leaders. So, you know, we'll handle that. But we come with an expertise. We come with a background knowledge about our children. I spoke to an educator yesterday who said that he had this student who was continuously getting in trouble, and he was doing well academically, but he was like struggling, like being introduced to the juvenile justice system. Like, because, you know, that's usually like uncommon too, right? That you're academically doing good, but then, then you're getting in trouble. So, you know, that's weird. Like, that puzzles everybody. And so, you know, they were trying to do all this stuff, and they were planning around this child, and, you know, this and this. And so finally, you know, he asked, he's like, man, you know, what is going on? And that child, he said that child looked at him and said, y'all never asked me what I wanted. He said, what you don't know is when I leave school, the gangs are trying to beat the hell out of me. And nobody even asked me what I needed or wanted. He said, I need something after school. Mayor Cooper, these kids need something after school so the gangs will leave them the hell alone.
Mm-hmm.
My son Jordan, when he was going to John Early, I had to drive from Madison to John Early to send him to school for 7th grade. And that means my commute would make me delayed. And so me and my mom arrived when we got there, and Jordan wasn't out there. So I'm like, where is he? And at the time, he didn't have a cell phone. And so I drove, you know, I know out north. I drove over there like off of Cass. Y'all, these boys were trying to initiate my 7th grade son in a gang. They made him go with them. He felt like he did not have a choice, but I did. I pulled him out and I put him in F.H. Jenkins, because a gang ain't gonna take mine.
Mm-hmm.
You're not getting mine. You're gonna fight me. We got guns a blazing.
Mm-hmm.
I took him right out of that school, couldn't afford it. And thank God family supported, and it was a good Adventist school. So if you know anything about F.H. Jenkins too,
Yeah.
like, I don't really like to tell people I don't tell people where to send their kids to school, but you need to be able to make informed decisions for yourself. Look into that school. It's small. I don't even know if they're still open, but
Mm-hmm.
you know, that's what I had to do. I said it to say, we have to ask children. We've got to include them in the plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And going back to an event we had at Mount Carmel Church, I mean, that youth summit, I mean, those kids, you know, you never know you out of touch until you realize you out of touch. And listening to those kids, I realized that, you know, the community has changed since I was coming up in the community, and they're dealing with problems like we dealt with, but it's just different problems. And I just think listening, like taking an opportunity, you know, this upcoming school year, you know, a lot of schools are going to have these social emotional learning pods, right, where when kids are frazzled or out of control and need to relax, like it's going to be a whole calming room, like to calm them down, maybe some incense, a yoga ball. And so be on the lookout, and really talking to your, I guess, back to school night or the orientations before school, like talking about like what are some of the things that you guys have in place to really listen to the kids. Because if we don't listen to them, we realize that things are going to happen that are out of our control. And I'm pretty sure the gang thing, Sonya, he was probably giving little hints like, can you pick me up early? Can I do something? Because he just knew he was going to have to walk into something that he wasn't ready for.
No, that was like my first encounter. Like, my instinct, like I always tell parents, please follow your instinct. If it doesn't feel right, you may not know. I mean, when I worked in the hospital, I had a patient that had a pulmonary embolus. My gut saved the patient's life. Parents, you have that same connection, that soul tie with your child. Now you do have to open yourself up to it and make yourself vulnerable to it. You're not going to always know what to do. You're not going to be perfect.
All right.
You're not going to always do the right thing. But open yourself up to be vulnerable and stay in tune to your children. Listen to your children. The pandemic, I said this a few weeks ago, it allowed me to hear my children say stuff, see different things in them that I did not see before or was not as cognizant or aware of or didn't see opportunity. So when Jordan wasn't where he was supposed to be, because I don't have no behavior problems either. Part of this school, my instinct said something is wrong. He knows he's supposed to be picked up right here, even if I'm running late. And they took his jacket. They, they did things and he was new to the school. So you have to, sometimes the children won't say anything. We have to ask, are you afraid? It's okay for you to say if you're afraid. That doesn't make you a punk.
Right. It just makes it reality. Yeah. Right. And just parents, what are you guys hearing? Like, even as we stay on that topic, like, a lot of parents, we talk about bullying, but like the issues like bullying, like as Sonya talked about her son almost, getting initiated into a gang. What are some of the things that you're thinking about as we get ready for back to school, as we think about our Nashville community, as we think about, like being back in school, and it's been a while for some kids that haven't, this will be the first time back in school since March of last year when we had spring break. So let us know some of the things that are on your mind and some of the things that you're thinking about.
Yeah. What is it going to look like? It can't look the same as it did before the pandemic.
Yeah, at all.
Jordan says safety.
Which safety, you realize, I would think parents cared about academics the most, but when you ask parents what's most important, safety and security is always number one. Academics is like second or third. And so safety is a big concern.
I know there's some parents that are worried about masks and things like that. And we're worried about reading, the safety issue is big. And it's all things safety. All things safety. The emotional safety, the physical safety, I think the emotional safety though is something that the district is focusing on with social emotional learning. One of the things that I hope that they're going to work on is even emotional intelligence. A lot of parents, you're probably not familiar with emotional intelligence. I'm just going to break that down.
Yeah, I was going to say, talk about that a little bit.
I say those words on purpose. There's no reason why you shouldn't know those words. And I will expose you to words like people are exposing me to words. These are not always words that I know. I did not come out the bun knowing these words. But emotional, I want to make sure I get it right. Emotional intelligence is about the way that you respond to others who may need like your empathy. A lot of our kids lack the empathy, and that's why it seems like they don't care. And the reason why they lack that empathy is because of the stressors, maybe the anxiety. And Chanel, maybe we bring you on to talk about this a little bit, but the stress, the anxiety, and the depression that they have, they're unable to relate to somebody else's trauma, somebody else's need to be recognized that something is going on with them emotionally. And that's something that we don't talk about a lot. It's something that even this week for myself, like I'm a self-evaluator. I was like, oh, I had to check myself with my emotional intelligence one day because somebody pissed me off. And I was like, screw them.
Mm-hmm.
But then I had to check myself and say, wait a minute. Why did that person react that way? What trauma did they have?
Mm-hmm.
They're like, yeah, you had trauma, but what trauma did they have that they, Sonia, it's not right for you not to acknowledge that person is also hurting. So that has to be taught to our children, to make sure that they understand empathy. That's why they don't. And then when you got generations of traumatized people, that's where the social emotional thing comes in. We all have traumas. Everybody on the side of my voice, you've been traumatized by something.
Yeah.
Even if somebody take this darn chicken salad away from me, hell, it might traumatize me because I'm hungry. Like trauma is real.
Mm-hmm. And Miss Stone jumps in. She talks about the mask and kids being bullied. Like that's something that I didn't even think about. The kids who want to wear masks. Because my son, God bless him. He was like, I don't know why we taking away the mask mandate. That's his personal feeling. He's like, I'm still wearing my mask, but really didn't think about him being bullied. So
yeah, I mean, it's just those things are really real.
Yeah,
they're real. I mean, their hair, like they get bullied for their hair. You have children that don't have running water, and they may smell. Their parents might smoke cigarettes in the house, and their clothes don't smell good.
Mm-hmm.
Like that stuff is trauma. Or somebody not laughing at your joke.
Yep. Golly, don't take us back to high school. Golly. The things we used to do in order to fit in because we knew if we didn't, we would be teased. And yeah, like in the spirit of transparency, like even as I watch people sag nowadays, right? I was telling my son the only reason I was sagging was because my pants were too little. And so we called it busting a sag because it was just a little bit below your waist because you had hit a growth spurt and your mom didn't have the money to buy you those new pants yet, or it wasn't in the budget. So I had to bust a sag. But I just know the days I didn't bust a sag, Johnny Hot Waters, like that was the name. And I hated that name. So bullying, I can laugh about it now, but that was traumatizing. Just being mentally right. Yeah.
Not having clothes. I can remember wearing my friends' clothes because we couldn't really afford clothes, like certain things. And I can remember not having certain shoes. Man, like we pro-winged it for so long at Pick and Pay on Dickinson Road. Like I was like, Mama, please don't buy me no more pro wings. You know what I'm saying? Like just the little things. My significant other is a life coach, and he has he has support children in that way to help them because sometimes they may be low on resources as a family. And so he was telling me that he needed to make some purchases of clothes for a teenager. And I looked at him and I said, please take him with you and allow him to pick out things.
Thank you.
And he said, oh my God, Sonia, I didn't think about that.
Something so simple goes a long way.
2 years old, you can't send him to school looking 52.
we thinking is hip as so you try to do a good thing and end up backfiring. Man, yeah.
Got school system. I mean, you just said something. We try to do a good thing, and then things end up backfiring.
Yeah. Yep. Chanel says 2020 was trauma for us all around. Like, I agree for us all. I mean, absolutely. Emotional intelligence is being trauma centered. And then Miss Compton just says, she talks about her kids will have a mask on when they enter back into the school building because COVID-19 is still going on. So yeah, just the 12 days of the new school year is upon us. And so those are things as parents that we think about. Getting back to it, I wanted to highlight an article because, again, I know how much we talked about when we got our stimulus checks, right? Some people were doing that sue stuff like put $1,400 in and you'll get $2,800. And sorry for my friends that did. I'm just here to tell you. I told you it was a Ponzi scheme. I just had to say it. I waited for you. But yeah. But it was a lot. We were excited about the stimulus checks, and each time that came, when we got our $1,400, the school system, the state of Tennessee, they got their stimulus checks, right? And on this last round of stimulus money, the ESSER 3.0, we talk about MMPS and what as parents, what do we think we should be doing with this? Is about $276 million additional dollars.
Plus, I believe that there is a ESSER 4 coming.
I've been hearing about that. They've been working on it right now in Congress.
Wait a minute. Let me put it out. Let me put it to our people, our audience. Word on the street. Some more paper about to come up in here.
Now, is this for the schools or for people and schools and everybody in between?
I believe towards capital budget. Okay. So let me explain what capital budget is. It is your infrastructure, like your building. When you think about infrastructure, you think about roof, you think about school building repairs, updates and upgrades, those types of things. And there's many of the schools in our neighborhood that are just poor. And it's a touchy subject for me, but Bellevue, they sent emails and they got a damn new school, millions of dollars of school. So I do have an attitude about that, because when we send emails, whether it's about something we're concerned about the school that we want to keep and maintain because it's providing a better education for our children, we get snobbed.
Yeah, I mean, that's when you think about the 276 million, even in that, I think that school is it's over 120 million. So when you talk about those resources, I wonder, when I look at where could those resources have gone better to really serve the students that we have. And I know it's a strategy over there to get kids to come out, because they have a lot of private schools in the Bellevue area. Private schools.
We got no bus line. It ain't for us.
Yeah.
We represent Black and brown families for our most struggling community. I want to make sure we straight on that. Now, we are fighting for all children, but I'm just telling you I can't represent somebody I ain't. So we represent Black and brown families. And guess what? Ain't no bus line out there. I ain't gonna lie. I like to be transparent. Last night, hell, I consider driving my son across town to West Nashville to school into off of Franklin Road. I'm that desperate. I'm that freaking desperate. It's a shame that my chest hurt because I have anxiety about making a decision that I feel like if I make the wrong decision for him, that I ruin his life.
Yeah, it's detrimental.
It's that real, man.
Yeah. And as we think about, if you could, for you, Sonia, with the 276 million, because again, we're getting ready to talk about the engagement sessions and the listening sessions that the district has, what could you do? Where would you spend the resources with those additional monies? And they can be spent over, I think it's 1 to 3 years.
Can you? I want you to work on your phonics. 276 what?
Million.
Mm,
Yeah.
mm,
And
mm.
that's about a little bit over 20% of our regular budget.
Yeah, I don't even know what that smell like. Said I love when you say that.
I don't even know what it smell like.
Yeah, that's my favorite. That one, and when John says it intentional or that's my favorite line. John Little be saying. And then he say, if you ain't at the table,
I mean, that's the best way to get it. I mean,
I love it, man. I get hyped when John be saying this stuff.
Yeah.
John,
yeah.
I be trying to keep my composure though. Y'all be like, yes. But
Let me jump into the article just a little bit, as you can see what we're discussing.
yeah, so I'll talk a little bit about that. You can bring it up and just kind of read a little bit out of it. We want to make sure that the information that we provide you, that you're aware of it, that it informs you, and that you have credible sources to the information. Now, whatever ain't here ain't our damn problem. So, I'm putting that out there in the air to everybody. You don't put the information out there for folk to see it, then we don't even know to ask for it.
Yeah.
So, but shout out to Megan for her excellent writing on this piece.
I mean, it's good information. I'll read a little excerpt. It just says, Metro Nashville Public Schools hope to use nearly $276 million in federal corona relief funds to increase technology support, expand tutoring services, and advance course offerings for students, add school counselors, and invest in other mental health supports. And so they want to finalize the proposal for sending a portion of the ESSER 3 funds, which were allocated back in March. It says these funds are the third and final chunk of funding allocated to K through 12 by the federal government in the midst of COVID-19 pandemic. Tennessee was allocated nearly $2.5 billion in ESSER 3.0 funds, with Metro schools receiving just over $276 million. And so we'll stop it right there.
So, just to be transparent, we're doing an interview with the Tennessean today, so I don't want to give away too much. Just to, make sure that, the interview is, meaningful and it's engaging. I want to talk very broadly about our thoughts and where our parents and where we are as an organization on this ESSER money. I'm just going to tell you this, that money needs to directly impact. There needs to be a return on the investment in each child. A return, like real estate, a return on the investment. Our children should not depreciate.
Come on now.
They ain't no car. They ain't no suit. These are real life people who should be looked at as vision. And there needs to be a return on this investment. We cannot afford to have this historic amount of money on top of a historic budget. Like, the days for we're not fully funded has passed us. That whole narrative is gone. Though we need more is not an excuse. Because I think I asked somebody the other day, I said, well, if we don't have enough, then tell me how much it does cost to educate a child. Hey, buddy, how much does it cost to educate a child? A child who is in the most struggling situation. Let's start there. Because the narrative is it's underfunded, not enough resources because the child is poor and they families ain't crap, and we need more resources to support them in order to educate them. That's just a narrative that is spoken. all the time. The excuse, because I know people that lived in University Court with gunshots and dopes being sold all the way around them when I was little and who graduated from Tennessee State University. So those excuses don't mean nothing to me. We're looking at somebody on this screen right now who was exposed to the criminal justice system and who was wrote off, who is now, in a position as a decision maker, who is a father and a husband and a prominent figure in the community. So those things, yeah, they can be barriers, but they don't determine anything for our kids. But I said that to say, this money has to directly, I know that there's some indirect things that have to happen. But what has to happen, what better happen, is that we get a return on the investment in these children. That's what's got to happen. We are at a point, we are literally at a point in education where we do or we literally die. I mean, I know that's you, like people say that, do or die. I don't know that we cannot minimize the seriousness. We can't afford to. And I'm not saying that anybody is. It's going to take people like Joey from Haywood and Dr. St. Elise's and Dr. Battle and others from around this country. Joey got on a Zoom with us yesterday and we talked real life. The conversation informed his decision making. It's informing it. He's like, I did not think about that. Or I was thinking about that. Let's talk about this a little bit more. Like, we're not here to throw tantrums. We should be. Babies throw tantrums when they need something. We are crying out with blood coming out our eyeballs. That's what we're doing. Blood is coming out our eyeballs.
Yeah. And I was going to say they throw the tantrums when they're sick and tired of being sick and tired. Like you meet too many people who have tried and have just given up. Like like enough is enough. That's been with parents. I talk to parents, they'd be like, man, I ain't gonna lie, man. I was going up there. We were talking, we were having these meetings, and I just gave up because I just wasn't seeing anything different. And that's not a story of one. That's a story of many.
And I just want to speak to the legitimacy of our parents, Jordan, Ivory, Victoria, a lot more parents, Tamika, Torvis, like I could just keep naming. I'm sorry if I'm leaving out anybody, the legitimacy that you have across this country. Our organization is developing powerful parent leaders around this country. The voices of you parents have been heard. Our children's cabinet to recover children from learning loss. The work that you did in 3 months is a soundbite. It is a guiding light and star across this country. The work that you did. I want to shout out our children's cabinet to recover children from learning loss. All our parents that get on our campaign call every month with no complaints, and you get on there and you work. The work that you are doing, not only will it impact the children in Nashville, but just know that the work that you're doing is in vain. And that should be, you guys should be really proud of yourself. I mean, we have parents that don't even have like a high school education, don't know how to send an email. And what you have accomplished some people that have letters behind their names have not impacted education the way that you are doing today. Shout out to the
Yeah.
Powerful Parent Network, to Crystal and Mary Bell and Joe and Sarah Carpenter, who was my mentor, to Kim Dukes in Atlanta, to Lakeisha out in Oakland. Shout out to our Powerful Parent Network for the work that we started doing together last year. That we are a sounding piece across this country, and people respect the legitimacy of parents, and sometimes not even in your own town. Sometimes you are heard in other places. And I had to say that because I don't think a lot of our parents are realizing the impact. And we'll share that next month on our campaign call of what you did. And I think we need to celebrate that, John.
I think we definitely need to celebrate it. I mean, because I think for us, we can see where we started at the very beginning as an idea, as a vision, and then as we find ourselves getting close to back to school 12 days out, like we can see the progress. We can see the tough, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah, I mean, and I think for the parents to actually see that they are actually the work that they put together, the personalized learning plan framework that you created in conjunction with other education experts and with, shout out to John Cunningham in Hamilton County, and Bridget, Emily Freitag, who's a great friend of ours. Shout out to Bishop Jones. But most of all, shout out to the parents, because you're doing something that has never happened in Nashville. As a matter of fact, we're doing something that I don't think that has happened across this country. We are changing the mindset. People are looking at parents, some of them are looking at parents different and say, wait a minute, we have truly ignored the gift and have overlooked the solution. You want to save public education? Save children and partner with parents.
And we'll make it real easy.
Make it real easy for you.
And so one of the things that we got about 8 more minutes, I'm gonna pull up the district's ESSER, what their community means. I think it's important, and if we can send this out, I think it'll be good for parents, and maybe even post it on our Facebook page, because it'll give parents the ability to see what we have going on and then what we want to do. So
wait a minute, take it down one time.
Okay.
One time. I gotta share this with y'all. I just got a text message. I don't know if I should put this out here. A local school here in Nashville wants to pilot the PLP in their school.
Come on now.
I'm looking at my text right here. I got my iPad and my phone. My phone said ding. A local school, I ain't gonna say who they are. I just got a text from somebody that does a lot of state level policy work, who just said that there is a school here who wants to work with us in creating and piloting the personalized learning plan. Did y'all just hear me? Jordan, Torvis, Ivory. I can't see everybody's name. Ivory, she said, look at that. Ivory's voice was carried across this state and this country because she was brave enough to speak truth to power. She told her story so nobody would tell it for her. And I'm almost in tears. I'm sorry. So just look over here at this text. I'm sorry, John. I just had to tell y'all that.
Yeah. But that just goes to show you, I mean, we spoke life into it a long time ago, and even bringing it up right now, it just, it shows you hard work does pay off. And when you hold them accountable to the rules that they created themselves, it just gives you an opportunity to really advocate. But I think what a lot of our parents realize, even though we're strong, even though we ain't taking no mess, it's hard to fight a system on your own?
I wouldn't do it. I tried for so long to fight for
Mm-hmm.
CJ. And I know a lot of y'all, you know, there are people I know they look up to me, right? And they say really sweet things to me. But God, the tears, the heartache, the pain, the hopelessness, the tiredness that I went through, y'all, with 4 kids. And then to meet parents in this movement that I don't have to fight by myself no more. Man, it's priceless, man. I never thought I'd be doing this. And I never want another parent or grandparent to feel the way that I felt. John, remember that day? I remember the day that I found out my son was reading on a 2nd grade reading level in the 7th grade. I was unconsolable. You know, John is real, like strong, and John just didn't even know how to console me. I was literally at a somebody else's school meeting to support them. And I was crying like somebody died, and I could not stop. I don't want nobody to feel like that.
It's a lot to deal with, and I think when it hits our household, the first thing we do, we go into, you know, fight or flight, and a lot of times it's fight, and then down the road, 6 months, 1 year, 4 years, you realize that nothing is really changing. So this is, I mean, just to get that news right now, it's right on time. It's right on time.
It's right on time. I mean, you know, I was trying to text her back, but it's something we should have been doing in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a song that y'all can relate to. Gonna clean up what I messed up. Starting all over again. Y'all know that song. We got to clean up what we messed up, and we got to start all over again. We've got to make the unvisible. So that might not be a word. I don't want to say invisible, because access to data was not invisible to school districts. We've got to make the thing that is not being seen because of the transparency. And those who are doing that, like MNPS is doing that, right? We need our charter leaders to do that. I'm not sure if they are, because when we're talking to MNPS, we're talking to them. So charter leaders, I will be calling you soon to meet with you to see what you're doing with your ESSER funds. Anyway, we got to make stuff visible to make sure that there's transparency. So you got to know that there's cancer, right? You got to know that there's a cancer. You got to know that there's a problem to even sound the alarm, to even know when to panic. Parents need to know when to panic. And for far too long, we've depended on other people to tell us when something is wrong, and then they don't tell us. Or they say stuff so far over your head. Things like, oh, he's 5th grade. He's a little boy. You know, 5th graders do that. I had a teacher tell me that. Oh, this is normal for 5th graders, for their grades to slide. Like, I said, no, it ain't, because this is my this is my 3rd, 5th grader to come through my house.
Right.
But these are things that people's mindsets, we got to change the mindset, the culture, the language. We've got to change the culture of education, because people, when there's not any oversight, see, those types of things let me know that there hasn't been great oversight far before Dr. Battle. And it's a systemic thing.
Yeah.
It's not one school.
Yeah, not just Nashville.
Yeah, it ain't just Nashville. This is nationwide. We've got to change the culture, the way we talk, the way that we lead in schools, the way that we inspire. You know, schools have been hope killers. Schools right now, in its face of how it looks, is a dream and a hope killer.
Mm.
It is. When you got 69% of your students not reading on grade level. I looked at data last night from 2019 with schools that have literacy rates and math rates in the teens and so low that they can't even report it. And you can't tell me it hadn't gotten better before. Imagine if you've got a literacy score of 8 with 200 and something students in your school, and only 8% of them is so-called proficient. And I really need to look at that, because is that on track? It's still not proficient. That's why you got to question everything. And then you got a below 5% rate of students in your school that are not proficient in reading or math. Parents don't know that.
Yeah. Because it seems unreal. It's not even believable.
Mm-mm.
Like, who would ever thought when you see the NA, that just means it was such a low number of people who passed the test or were proficient that it couldn't even show up, because it would identify who those one or two students are.
NA, when you see NA, what does it say? Not applicable. That doesn't apply.
Right.
Even the state of Tennessee needs to change its language of reporting.
Mm-hmm.
That, to me, that could be kind of loopy and not being transparent to say NA. Is that not acceptable? Hell, the 10% ain't acceptable. I know at one time they talked about letter grades, but look, one of the things that's been circulating in the news is the amount of children that took the TCAP. Is it really a TCAP? I hear that interchange so much.
Yeah, they call it TCAP and TN ready.
That gets on my nerves. I mean, because you can't really learn stuff like, you want to make sure that
I thought it was just me. I was like, I used to call it TCAP, and now it's TN ready, but
then they shushed you. You called it TCAP. Then they shushed you and said, no, it's Tennessee ready. And then now I see something that say TCAP again. I said, hell, what is it?
Yeah.
A record amount of children in the state of Tennessee took the TCAP. I believe MNPS and Union County. So Davidson County had the lowest numbers of students that took the TCAP. When I look at root cause, I think about the communication of it. I saw some emails, but let's think about in the future when we have things like that, like how do we ensure that parents know? I know we talked about a whole lot and we push parents to do that. I think like working with organizations like ours to push things like that out. Hopefully we can partner with the district on that. I need to write that on my list of when they have something, partnering with us to let us know before they roll it out so we can roll it out with them. I don't mind them coming on and talking about it, but we've got to have personalized learning plans for all students and for parents. We have to personalize our communication with parents, because a lot of parents, they learn better from talking to us and having conversations about it. A lot of parents can't read a lot of text. They may be neurodiverse. They may have dyslexia. They may not have just been taught how to read. And so some parents need to have the style of conversation around things. And so, we want to make sure that we always personalize our programming to our parents.
Yeah. So this has been a good combo. I know we're a little bit over, but one of the things we definitely wanted to talk about was just so you can see these dates, right? And so community engagement with the district is coming up. We'll put the link out. I think we'll put it in the chat, and then we'll show some of the dates. But these are opportunities to get engaged with, because when somebody owed me $20, I want my money. And so it's 276 million going around that I think we can find good places to put it to get that investment back on our kids.
Man, we need to make sure that children are learning. We need to the outcome. Like for me, I don't even know what the expectation of the outcome is from the district. And that's something we can ask Dr. Battle. What do we want to be true when we implement these things? A goal has to have measurement. It has to be measurable. And I work with our team on that. I work on myself about goal setting, hitting goals. And we have to put measurements and dates to this stuff. Those are the things that maybe parents didn't even realize how powerful they were to even ask for that information. We organize and we develop powerful parent leaders to ignite a movement that demands equitable education, policies, and practices in Nashville. Public education, that's what we're going to do. We're not empowering you because you're already powerful. You are already powerful. When we equipped you with the knowledge of the landscape of education, you'll fight. You will fight for your children. We hadn't talked to one person yet that doesn't love and care about their child. So I wanted to remind you of what we're here and what we're going to do. Who is Jeanette?
Yeah. Jeanette, my sister.
Hey, Jeanette. Jeanette, she coming with it. Jeanette said, Jeanette got me hype. She said one of these comments. She said something about not being here by herself. Thank you, Jeanette. Jeanette most definitely got our back.
Yeah.
She mobilizes with us.
Yeah.
She speaks truth to power. She ain't afraid of nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And we love you, Jeanette.
Amen. All right, guys, we'll see you next week. Thanks for joining in, and talk to you soon. And for the parents, I know I saw Ivory, Miss Compton, a couple of more parents. Jordan, we'll see you guys tonight.
All right, y'all. Have a good day.